What if the next global crisis wasn't a virus, a war, or a market crash, but the price of a single glass of water? For years, one man has been quietly betting his entire fortune on that exact scenario. You might know his name, Michael Burry. He was the awkward genius from The Big Short, who predicted the 2008 financial collapse when no one else would listen. He saw the rot in the system and made $1 billion from the disaster. But after that, he vanished from the headlines and started making a new, much darker bet. He wasn't shorting stocks or bonds anymore. He was buying up something far more essential. He was buying water. Burry realized that while you can print money and build new technologies, you can't make more water. It is the single most critical and increasingly scarce resource on Earth. And he understood that in a world of scarcity, whoever controls the water controls everything. His investment was a quiet prophecy, a warning that the most fundamental element of life was about to become the next playground for Wall Street. And now, that prophecy is coming true. But to understand how they could pull off a trade this audacious, you have to look at the secret market they built to make it possible. For decades, Wall Street traders could only dream of getting their hands on water. It was too messy, too unpredictable. You couldn't exactly store a river in a bank vault. They needed a way to turn this flowing, unpredictable resource into a clean, simple number on a screen. So in 2020, they finally did it. They created something called the Nasdaq Valles California Water Index. It sounds complicated, but its purpose is terrifyingly simple. It tracks the price of water in California's driest regions and turns it into a ticker symbol, just like a stock. For the first time in history, water had an official price that could be traded, hedged, and speculated on. The barrier was broken. Life's most essential element was now officially an asset class, and the quiet revolution Burry predicted had begun. But this dark idea of putting a price on survival wasn't new. It was just the latest chapter in a very, very old story. Long before computers were trading water futures, the world's most powerful empires were built on controlling who got to drink. In ancient Rome, grand aqueducts were hailed as marvels of public infrastructure, bringing life to the city. But behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. The wealthy elite illegally tapped into the public water lines, diverting flows to their private villas and lavish baths, while the city's poor waited in line at trickling public fountains. It was the first great water heist, establishing a pattern that would repeat for centuries. Public need and private profit. Fast forward to 19th century London. The city was a sprawling industrial nightmare, and its water was controlled by a patchwork of private companies. These companies prioritized profits above all else, supplying clean water to the wealthy neighborhoods that could pay while pumping contaminated, disease-ridden sludge from the Thames River to the slums. Cholera outbreaks ravaged the city, but as long as the money flowed, the system remained. This brutal logic eventually crossed the Atlantic and defined the American West. Cities like Los Angeles were built on a lie, blooming in the desert, not because water was there, but because it was stolen from somewhere else. In a legendary act of corporate espionage and political manipulation, the city drained the entire Owens Valley, turning a thriving farming community into a dust bowl just to fill its swimming pools. The pattern was always the same. Water flows toward money and power. And what happened next in a small Bolivian city would become the terrifying blueprint for the entire world. In 1999, the city of Cochabamba was pressured by the World Bank to privatize its water system. The contract was handed to a powerful international consortium, which immediately revealed its true intentions. Water bills for ordinary families skyrocketed, in some cases tripling overnight. People earning less than $100 a month were suddenly hit with bills for $20 or $30, a crushing, impossible amount. The new corporate owners were so ruthless that they even pushed for a law that made it illegal for citizens to collect rainwater, claiming that once it fell from the sky, it belonged to them. It was the ultimate act of corporate overreach. The people of Cochabamba had been pushed too far. They took to the streets in a massive uprising known as the Water War. After months of protests and violent clashes, the government was forced to cancel the contract. The people had won, but the event sent a chilling message to the global elite. The public was a temporary obstacle, but the potential for profit was limitless. Cochabamba was just a test run. The real prize was still out there. Back in the gleaming towers of New York and Chicago, the financial world was watching. They saw the chaos in Bolivia not as a warning, but as an opportunity. They just needed a more sophisticated tool, something that could control the world's water without needing a single soldier on the ground. In December 2020, the CME Group, the largest financial derivatives exchange on the planet, gave them that tool. They launched the world's first water futures contract, officially opening the floodgates for speculators. Suddenly, hedge funds, investment banks, and asset managers could bet on the future price of water with the click of a button. The titans of finance were quick to broadcast their excitement. Goldman Sachs openly called water the petroleum of the 21st century, signaling their intent to treat it just like oil. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, declared water to be the new gold. Their language exposed the entire game. This wasn't about helping farmers manage drought. It was about identifying the next multi-trillion-dollar commodity to be conquered, controlled, and profited from. The machine was now fully operational. So how exactly do these traders make money from your thirst? It's a beautifully simple and deeply cynical game. A futures contract allows an investor to bet on whether the price of something will go up or down in the future. In this case, they are betting on the price of water. If a massive drought hits California, scorching farmland and drying up reservoirs, the price of water on the Nasdaq index skyrockets. And any hedge fund that bet on that scarcity makes a fortune. They aren't solving the drought. They aren't delivering water to anyone. They are simply profiting from the misery it causes. This creates a deeply perverse incentive. In a normal world, a drought is a tragedy to be solved. But in the world of water futures, a drought is a profit opportunity. Scarcity isn't a bug in the system. It's the feature that makes it so lucrative. They've engineered a financial product where the worse the climate crisis gets, the richer they become. It's a system where human suffering is just another variable in a trading algorithm, and disaster is the surest path to a winning trade. But the heist isn't just happening on Wall Street servers, it's happening right under our noses, in our own communities. While hedge funds trade abstract water rights, giant corporations are busy grabbing the physical water itself. Companies like Nestlé have become infamous for a business model that seems almost too brazen to be real. They move into communities, often in drought-stricken areas like California or Michigan, and strike deals to pump millions of gallons of pristine groundwater for a pittance, sometimes paying as little as a few $100s in annual permit fees. They then bottle that public resource in plastic and sell it back to consumers for thousands of times the cost. It's the same logic as the Wall Street traders, just in physical form. They take a shared, essential resource, privatize it, and sell it for an astronomical profit. They turn a human right into a luxury good. This two-front war, the abstract financial grab by Wall Street and the physical resource grab by corporations, is creating a world where water is slipping out of public hands. It's a slow-motion takeover of the one thing no one can live without. We are now at the final stage of the game. Wall Street has successfully turned everything into a commodity. Our homes, our health, our education. Now they have finally come for the source code of life itself. The financialization of water isn't just another market. It's the potential checkmate. Imagine a future where a drought-stricken city like Phoenix or Cape Town can't afford the market rate for water and has to let its taps run dry. Imagine a world where nations have to issue debt to Wall Street banks just to secure enough rainfall for their crops. This isn't science fiction. It is the logical endgame of the system they are building right now. They call it price discovery and market efficiency, the same jargon they used before the 2008 crash. But what they are discovering is the maximum price they can charge for survival. What they are making efficient is the transfer of wealth from the desperate to the powerful. Their bet isn't just on water. It's a bet on us, on our willingness to accept a world where life has a price tag. And so the final question remains, when the taps finally run dry, will you be a citizen with a right or just a customer with a bill?